my precise question is, what do the panel intend to recommend regarding the future of accident and emergency services, and should the accident and emergency at the Western General Hospital be reopened again? Because I am of the attitude it has got to be reopened, because God help you if you don't get there in time.
Okay. Right, Malcolm.
Well, the general principle that I would follow is that we need to have as much healthcare as possible in local settings, and I'm a great fan of the Leith Community Treatment Centre, and I would like to see a similar centre for North Edinburgh as well, because I think the more we can do in local communities, the better. I also think we need to have as many services as we can at the Western General. It's already a brilliant hospital. If you have a stroke, the best hospital in Scotland, I think, that I've come across to go to.
Would you reopen an accident and emergency centre?
Well, I'm coming on to that. I was one of the people who campaigned against that and campaigned for the minor injuries unit, and as you acknowledge, that has been very successful as far as it goes. And certainly I would like to have as many emergencies seen there as possible. But the evidence that all the experts are saying is that if you have a really serious injury, you're better to go to a centre where you have all the high-tech equipment on one site, and that is overwhelmingly the view of doctors and other health professionals in Edinburgh. So as far as possible, I would like people to go to the Western General, but if there's something very seriously wrong with you in an emergency situation, all the evidence is that you will have a better result if you go to the high-tech centralised accident and emergency. There's one other thing I would say, of course. Over the years, paramedics have developed skills which they never had in 1990 when the accident and emergency department closed, so that if one of us has a heart attack here tonight, the paramedics will be here to give us clot-busting drugs if that's appropriate, and so on. And that obviously makes it a slightly different situation in terms of getting to the Royal Infirmary.
Davy?
In terms of kind of keeping health services local as possible, that I think has to be the ideal for everyone. There's two big services I think should be kept as local as possible: A&E and maternity, and I think Siobhan would probably agree that to keep maternity services local as possible when you're heavily pregnant is a priority. In terms of reopening Western General A&E, we have no specific commitment to reopening the A&E department at the Western General, but I think there is a real concern for people in North Edinburgh. I was down recently in Granton speaking to people, and there's a huge concern about how you can actually go and visit people in the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh on the south side of the city. It can take over 2 hours by bus on some occasions. We've got to look at ways, if it is more appropriate to have that services at Western General, absolutely, I'll back it, but it's not something we've got as a specific commitment.
Okay, Ian?
It's actually very similar, Leslie. I agree with Malcolm that a lot of things can be done in the local community, and certainly the issue around heart attacks and people who collapse, paramedics can do a lot more, and it's actually more sophisticated than Malcolm told you, because they will be in direct contact with a consultant in the Royal Infirmary, getting advice on how to treat the patient with data going back from machinery that they bring with them. So medicine's moved on a bit than needing a hospital very close. It's often done in another way. But I think we should provide a lot more services in community settings close to people. You shouldn't necessarily have to go to hospital for checkups and things. That should more and more be able to be done in local centres.
Right, I'm going to ask the two of you a very bold thing, which is, do you generally agree with this? In which case, can we just take it as read? Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'd be so consensual, I'd be boring for you, Leslie.
So we've got, well, thank you.